All right, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day. Now, the Texas Longhorns are going to be facing off against another former coach. He wasn't a head coach here, but he's a head coach now. Jeff Traylor at the UTSA Roadrunners, Texas San Antonio. Now, we did previously face off against Jay Norvell from Colorado State. This is a coach that's going to have his guys playing ready to go. They're going to be playing good ball. I didn't want to see Jeff Traylor hired at Texas A&M because he's a good coach, and then also he has some real connections as a high school coach for recruiting. So, just a little quick sidebar on that. I'm glad he's at Texas San Antonio and not Texas A&M. Not to say that Mike Elko is a bad coach, or I'm thinking that Mike Elko is going to do bad there. I just really did not want Jeff Traylor to be the head coach of Texas A&M. Now, while you're at that, if you like that too, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment down below your thoughts on the Texas versus Texas San Antonio. Texas versus Texas San Antonio. That kind of got jumbled together there. Game. Let me know what you think down below. Give me a score prediction. I'm curious to see what y'all think, because this is not a game that Texas can just write off. I know if you go and look at the stats, and we're going to look at the stats here in a second, but hey, shout out to Steve Largent. I appreciate that, man. I actually was not. I didn't know that was going to pop up, but hey, someone just subscribed. So the video's not live, so that just kind of worked out great, but hit the subscribe button just like Steve did. Appreciate you, Steve. Now, like I was saying, Texas, we're going to look at the stats here in a second, right? But Texas San Antonio, 49-10 loss versus Texas State. 28-16 point victory. This was an 8-point victory over, no, that's not 8 points. Dodo, it's 12 points. I don't know where my math went. But 12-point victory over Kennesaw State. That's not, these aren't numbers to, write home about or anything, or to really be scared about. But I can tell you right now, Jeff Traylor is going to have a good football team. There are good players on this roster. You're going to see there's a former 5-star Texas A&M commit, Texas A&M player who is also at LSU, and Denver Harris. He's on the roster. Yes, that Denver Harris. So this is not just a team to write off. But let's just go ahead and start off. And before we start off real quick, want to go ahead and bring up now it's not popping up. This is awesome. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. But so here's the forecast for DKR. It's going to be a night game, so towards the end of the day, it's going to start to get cooler, but it is going to be humid and it is going to be hot, and that's very relevant for tailgating. So if you're going to show up, hey, be hydrated, please. Please be hydrated. Get in the stands. But show up early, show up proud, wear your burnt orange, be loud, right? So there's the weather update for y'all. I forgot to do it last week, but we'll also look at some lines here in a second, underdog lines. But going on to those stats I was talking about, no, those aren't the stats. These are the stats. Okay. So right off the bat, this is where I've told y'all, if y'all listened to me in the past, I tell y'all, do not pay that much attention to team stats or where they rank this early on, because there have only been 2 games played. For example, Alabama, they played Southern Florida and Georgia. I don't even know who their first. I forget who their first one was. They haven't played a lot of great teams. Now, they didn't look great. Alabama did, but that's a sidebar for another thing. My point being is Texas has looked really good, and these are the stats. So you'd be like, oh man, wow. So Texas is not that great. Well, it's not necessarily the case. If you go and you look at with the 2023 rank, so what I'm saying by 2023 rank, I'm talking about at the end of the season, where Texas's stats right now would have ranked at the end of the 2023 season. You can look. Points per game on the defensive side. 6 points per game would have been, if we allow at the end of the year 6 points per game, that would have ranked first in the nation in 2024 or in 2023. Now, the stats, these are going to go up, but this is more indicative of the result that you're seeing on the field. And you can see that also in the rank of the UTSA. Look at their defense. Their defense, actually, the numbers look better now than they do if you were to actually compare them to where teams finished at the end of the year in 2023. a 0.242 points per play. That's not good on offense. That was damn near last year. Their rushing attack has been bad. It's been poor. And we're going to touch on that here in a second because I hate committee by backfield, and they're running a committee backfield approach. But and the Texas offense, the Texas rushing game so far hasn't been anything to write home about, but everything else has been. Passing offense, right? We can write home about that. Total offense, we can write home about that for sure. Even the rush defense, we can write home about that. Pass defense, write home about that. Same goes for overall defense. So you can see right here, like this is just it's not really a fair comparison of the teams. And if you go and you look at the offense versus the defense, so on the right side it's going to be the UTSA offense versus the Texas defensive stats, where they would match up head to head in these certain categories. You can look Texas. I mean, this is a game that, let's just be honest here, this is a game that Texas has no business losing. It's not. I don't care how good of coach Jeff Traylor is. I don't care what talent he's gotten on the sidelines. This is just not a game that Texas needs to be hanging around in late in the game. And last year, you actually kind of saw, I believe it was, 21 point ball game? Let me just go ahead and Google the stats real quick. Because Texas versus Texas San Antonio, last year was not the end score was better than what it appeared to be. But we didn't run away till the game until like towards the end. No, it wasn't. It was the year before. 2022. It wasn't 2022. I'm looking off. Hold on 1 second. It was 2022. Here, I'll pull it up on the screen. This was I was going off of Quinn Ewers' game log, and he didn't play in this game because he was injured versus Alabama. But you could look right here. This was a tie game going into it was 17-17 ball game. And then they score 3 points this entire second half. Texas scores 24. So it looks different. It honestly kind of, similar to the Alabama argument that I was just making a second ago. But point is, Texas cannot be in the, I understand this is the game. I've said this right here to open. Jeff Traylor's a good coach. He's going to have this team ready to play. But I don't care if the goals that Texas wants to accomplish at the end of the year, which is national championship and winning the SEC, if we want to accomplish these goals, you don't lose games like this. You don't. It doesn't matter how good the coach is. So this is a game that Texas really, really needs to go out there and dominate in and show that they are ready to play. Because if there are mistakes, this is the game it's going to show itself in. This is the game where the little tiny mistakes are going to show themselves, and those tiny mistakes later on can ruin a season when they're magnified. But just a little sidebar right there. Now, going on to the offense, we're going to start off with their offensive players and players to watch right here. 2023 stats. Like he came in, he started one game. He had a lot of backup duty last year. Not too much to really pay. You don't really want to pay too much attention to it. But, I mean, you do want to at least take a look at it. Now, the 7.6 to 7.4, that tells me that's pretty consistent in who he's going to be as a quarterback. Now, you've seen the completion percentage drop down a little bit as he's been a starter. He was pulled out of the last game last week versus Texas State. The game was just out of hand. And Jeff Traylor has said that he is going to be the starter for versus Texas. Now, there's a chance that we get to see a second quarterback, but Owen McCown, this is their starting quarterback. I didn't say his name. I don't have his number up there or his name, but his name is Owen McCown. And what his target chart looks like right here, you see the outside left between the numbers, outside right. What that tells me is that this dude, I haven't really watched that much UTSA football. Disclaimer. But I can already tell you right now, without watching it, what this tells me is this dude runs to his left. He likes to roll out to his left a little bit, and he favors throwing to his left. And that's just where he's most comfortable at. You can clearly see he has what 15 attempts on the right on the left side, 8 attempts on the right. All 8 attempts are under 10 yards. That it takes arm strength to get the ball to that 10 to 20 range, and then the 20 beyond range on the outside right, on the outside hashes. This is just it. He's limited in that area. So, not to say he's bad, but let's call it what it is. He's the quarterback at UTSA, and he's also a young guy, young gun too. Now, speaking of young gun, Robert Henry Jr. He's their young running back, and in my opinion, he's the good one. You look at their 2023 stats: 92 attempts for Rocco Griffin, 480 yards, 5.2 yards per attempt. I mean, these are not bad running back stats. 6 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns for Robert Henry on 127 attempts, 592 yards. And then the leading rusher from last year, 2023 stats: 146 attempts, 706 yards, 4.8 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns from Kavorian Barnes. But you can see right here, game 1, game 2. Those are their running back carries. This is back to the good old Tom Herman day, and not good old Tom, the bad old Tom Herman days of we're going to have a running back by backfield, we're going to have a committee by backfield, and the hot hand wins. The hot hand's getting the ball. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that term? Hot hand? I hate it. I hate it. Never want to hear it again. But that's what we're facing. A running back by backfield. Running back by committee backfield. So I personally not a big fan of running back by committee backfields. So I'm liking that we're going up against that. Wide receivers. This is literally where most of their offense is going to be going. Devin McCoon and Willie McCoy. And I misspelled Willie McCoy on that right there. But these dudes account for, if you were to look at the team target percentage, so 22 and 14 targets. They've accounted for almost 50% of the targets on the team. There have only been 85 targets so far this year. So for them to have 36 of 85 targets, I like just double checking my math. Yeah, 42.3%. They get majority of the targets, and you're gonna see. This is Devin. This is where Devin gets his targets. He gets a lot of it behind the line of scrimmage. So that's like little jet touch passes. Not touch passes, but a little jet pass. Just flip the ball up. Not really much of a pass, but it's considered a pass. And then a lot of short yardage. He's your guy that's going to be working. Probably, I would assume a lot out of the slot. I would assume he is their slot guy. Now, you go and you look at it, and I'm actually 90% sure that's the case from setting up the depth chart on the little simulation that I did. But then you go to Willie McCoy. And, Willie McCoy, he's the guy that he's got a little bit of outside left, not too much, but it's really on the left side is where he's going to be getting. He's got all of his targets really. Outside of that, he's only had 4 targets non-left side of the field. So this is the guy that he's going to be if he's going to target a guy deep, it's going to be Willie McCoy. Devin McCoon, he's going to try and get a lot of the yards, after the catch. This will be a decent test for our. They're nowhere near Horton or the Michigan wide receivers, but these aren't bad wide receivers. And I shouldn't say the Michigan wide receivers, but Torrey Horton that we played versus Colorado State, much better wide receiver than these guys. Just calling it as is. And then going on to the defense, these are some defensive players that you need to watch for. I mean, Denver Harris, like I said, yes, that is that Denver Harris that you're thinking of. The guy that got kicked off A&M, went to LSU, and then he now is at UTSA after spending 1 year at LSU. And right now, he is their leading cornerback. They they pulled a lot of their starters out of the last game. He only had 45 snaps that game, but 74 of 145 snaps, he's the leading cornerbacks on their team in snaps. Ken Robinson, this is the guy that you got to watch for as a Texas player. And I know there's the Owen Pee Wee guy. Not that's a name to remember. He's been decent in coverage. He actually leads them in pass breakups, and he's a linebacker. But Ken Robinson, this dude, he is going to play the run physically. He's going to tackle well, and he's just overall going to be a good safety for UTSA. This is a veteran player. I know it shows 20. And the funny part is Denver Harris is 21, not 25, but he wore 25 in the spring game. I promise that is Denver Harris. I didn't just pull a random picture of some dude. And then also that is Ken Robinson. He is now number 4. But that was taken actually from Ken Robinson's Instagram. So take that what you will. Now, I'm saying when I say take it what you will, I'm not just pulling crap out of my ass. But he, like I said, leads the team in total tackles and solo tackles, and then run stops. This dude is going to be a solid defender in the run game for for UTSA. Now, and he also will also kind of be like a good stop loss, similar to like a Michael Taft. But going back over to, let me pull up. Nope. Want to finish it off here with some underdog lines. So, underdog lines. Why do I pay attention to these? Because this is what people with money. So people have actually put money on these lines, and this affects how these go. So if you were to say, you know what, I want to go on to underdog, and if you do go on underdog, use code Nash for deposit match up to $100 for your first time deposit. One of the best ways to support me. But so if you were to go and say, you know what, I like Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is going to rush. I think he's going to rush in the end zone. You would select higher. And as more money comes in on a certain line, underdog will raise or lower the line. So if somebody's going, you know what, Quinn's not going to hit 272 passing yards. Underdog, if there's enough money on the lower, they're going to actually lower that line. So the entire reason why I want to look at these lines in the first place is to look at where the money, people that are actually putting money on their mouth, they're putting their money where their mouth is. That matters. That's, at the end of the day, I'm just sitting here talking about this crap, right? But people have actually put money on their, they put money. They put their hard-earned dollar bills on this. So they got Quinn Ewers at 272.5 passing yards. That's probably going to be pretty accurate. Underdog lines have been pretty accurate in the past, and they're going to stay accurate. That's why I'm giving you this whole spiel right now. Quintravian Weisner, it's basically just a toss-up on if he's going to get a touchdown or not. They see Jaden Blue as the lead running back. 81.5 rushing yards would be his best rush total of the year so far. He has just been that close to just breaking out on some runs. And he got injured early on versus Michigan, came back in. My whole point with that is I feel like as well as I see the public is feeling like this, Jaden Blue is really close to actually having a good game. And I feel like that's reflected inside this. Because he's had 31 receiving yards each game. Well, 23.5 receiving yards is the over-under. So, personally, if I were going to take something, I'd go on the over on that one. Just because he's kind of done it over and over again. Gunnar Helm, 27.5 receiving yards. This is a guy that this is crazy, but he could be one of the top 3 receivers. And what I mean that is crazy. Like, typically you would think, hey, wide receiver's going to be top. Well, if the Michigan game was anything to show us what's going to come for the rest of the season, Gunnar Helm's in for a big year. Isaiah Bond, basically toss up on the receiving touchdowns or receiving and rushing. So that's actually real quick little thing on this one. When you get receiving and rushing, that's just any touchdown, higher or lower. But Devin McCoon, again, he's their leading wide receiver. You can see his stats right here, targets in the last 3 games. Now, this was in a bowl game right here. That's Marshall. And there were other wide receivers. So 13 targets, 11 receptions his first week, 2 touchdowns, 79 yards versus Kennesaw State. Then Texas State, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 29 yards. They held him in check. So if you think he's going to go under, too bad. You don't get an option on that one. But you can see right here, like this is Matthew Golden, 40.5 receiving yards. So going off that, 60.5 receiving yards. The public is a little bit higher on Isaiah Bond than they are Matthew Golden in this game. Burt Auburn, this is important. 5.5 extra points made. They're saying basically, hey, Texas is either going to score 5 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns. Which one you got? And you would choose higher or over. And then also, extra point made. So they're predicting at least 1 score. Underdog, the betting public is. They've got 1 score at least, possibly 2, for UTSA. So, all that to say, look, I understand if you don't like underdog, if you don't want to, if you consider it betting and you don't want to, hey, more power to you. But I just wanted to show y'all where the public that is putting their money where their mouth is sees this game going. So, with all that being said, what do I have for the University of Texas versus Texas San Antonio? Well, I got Texas winning the game. I'm just gonna go ahead and say right now, because I'm giving you all my thoughts live on this right now. I'm gonna go 45 points for Texas, 17 points for University of Texas San Antonio. I think that the backups are going to get some time in, and maybe Texas San Antonio is going to get a score or 2 on them there. I really want to go lower. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to limit it to 1 touchdown. I'm going to say 10 points. 45-10, Texas wins. It's probably going to end up being 45-17 now that I just did that. But player of the game, I'm gonna go with Quinn Ewers. No, I'm actually gonna. I would love to sit there and just say Quinn. And I think Quinn's gonna have a game that this isn't gonna be one of the games that you point back to and say Heisman game, right? Like it's not gonna be like that. But I think he's gonna do well. He's gonna be efficient. He's gonna operate the offense, and he's gonna get Texas to where I think he's probably gonna get. I would, if I had to bet, I would say 3 touchdowns for Quinn. I think that line's probably right. I would go 275 yards on the day, 280 just to go on the overside of it. Completion percentage, I'm gonna put him at I'll say 78. I'll say 78% completion percentage. Now Jaden Blue, I think is gonna be the player of the game. I think he will hit over that 100 rushing yard. And the reason why is he's been this close, and he is the guy that has the home run power. And what I mean by home run power, he ain't power back. Now, that's not to say he cannot run with power, but his bread and butter is speed and catching the ball in the backfield. So all it takes is 1 run to be blocked correctly, and Jaden Blue is going to take off. Now, leading receiver, I'm going to have Isaiah Bond. I think he is going to be our leading receiver this year. When you look at just consistency, there's going to be 2 things this year. Isaiah Bond is going to get a lot of targets. And I'm talking about the receiving room. Isaiah Bond's going to get a lot of targets, as well as Jaden Blue. And Matthew Golden's going to get a touchdown, baby. That's my other prediction. I think Matthew Golden's going to get a touchdown. I think we see Arch Manning in by the end of the 3rd quarter. A little funny thing. Right before I end this video, I actually had a bet with somebody in the stands. I originally predicted Arch was going to go in the 4th quarter, and somebody, I forget what the whole thing was there, but we had a live bet. Hey, I buy you a beer, you buy me a beer, right? And on whoever wins, and I won. We had Arch Manning going in, and I was like, you know what? Arch is going to come in 3rd quarter. Second snap, a second drive. And they're like, no, he's going to start the first. So, well, I got myself free beer here for Texas versus UT San Antonio. So, all right, everybody. Hope you all have a great day. And you know, I might cash that beer in for something else, like a corn dog or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give myself a nice little what's that? Fletcher's. Yeah, they got Fletcher's corny dogs now. So, all right, everybody. Hope you all have a great day. And look, I hope on Saturday Texas has a great day. Hook 'em.